All right, guys, Carrie and I are back, and in this section we want to talk with you about choosing your major and why it's important to sort of know the academic path that you're on. And today we have with us Dr. Julie Voigt, who's our Dean of Instruction here. She also teaches sociology, so there's a good chance you may have her if you take a sociology course with us. We also have Gwen Russell, who is our director of our Career Center, and she's going to be a very valuable resource, especially if you are undecided about your major. So Dr. Voigt, I just want to start with you. A lot of students that Carrie and I see coming into Sandhills as new students are undecided about their major. Why is it important for students to choose a major, and what advice would you give students who are undecided?
Yeah, absolutely. So one reason to go ahead and choose a major is when you're thinking about, well, really depending on whether you go into the transfer side of the house or whether you're going into an applied program, that really matters. So trying to make that decision is really important, specifically with your applied programs, because they are oftentimes sequenced. And what I mean by that is if they have a start in the beginning of their program, say in fall, you need to go ahead and start in fall, because if not, if you try to start in the spring, it could put you behind an entire year. And so that's really important, specifically for our applied programs. On our transfer side of the house, if you're planning on going onto the university, it's important to go ahead and try to make preparations for what university you want to go to. So thinking about whether you want to go to Greensboro, if you want to go to App. Those are really important decisions to make, in particular, lining up your coursework with the coursework of the university. Because not all universities are going to have similar requirements. Of course, you'll be able to transfer in your degree as an associate's degree and start off as a junior if you've completed your degree. But really thinking about if there's something specific that you want to go into, that's going to be really key when picking out even your general education courses or your electives. In addition, if you're utilizing financial aid, it's really going to be important to choose your major early, because you don't want to take courses that aren't really necessary for your degree, and it could potentially hurt your financial prospects in the future. So being really thoughtful about financial aid, if that's something that you're receiving, in your decision of what degree you're going to choose. Also, in thinking about various programs, specifically applied side and health sciences and nursing, you want to go ahead and start thinking about what courses are going to be required prior to getting admitted into the program, because those programs will require for you to apply. And so thinking about your general education courses, the HESI, all of those things to prepare for entrance into that program. And again, starting those programs on the semester in which they have it sequenced, to make sure that you're not behind. Because in addition, if you do get behind, of course, this is going to delay your graduation. And so if you're really wanting to graduate within that 2-year period or 3-year period, then you're definitely going to want to do your research looking at these programs in order to prepare.
Those are really good points. And guys, a reminder to you, your last section of the orientation course, you'll have the opportunity to actually watch videos and hear from our different instructors on campus about those different programs that Dr. Voigt's referring to. So don't worry, as she talks through some of those aspects, you'll learn more about that as you go through the orientation course. So Dr. Voigt, a question that we get pretty frequently, is there an undecided major at Sandhills that helps students choose their path?
There isn't an undecided major, but that doesn't mean that you can't choose classes within, for example, an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science, which is what I would advocate for. And then that way you're kind of picking your courses that I would take a look at both of those degrees and see kind of what aligns with other programs, so you're not duplicating your efforts. So, you can be not decided, but I would encourage for you to, sign up for a program specifically with the transfer if you're still trying to figure out what it is that you want to do.
What are some things that students should consider when choosing their major?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I would absolutely advocate for is choosing something that you're really interested in and that you're passionate about. And I know I've mentioned this to you in terms of like my kind of Pollyanna perspective, but I do truly believe that finding something that you love and that you're passionate about is really important in terms of you being successful in your career. It's going to matter in the relationships that you build with people and just your overall happiness in terms of how you're working daily. And I think that's extremely important. Some of the other things that I would recommend would include trying to find a mentor. If you're undecided but you're wanting to have conversations with people within the industry, finding a mentor is a really good way to get information. Specifically, if you're thinking on the applied side of the house, they can connect you to other members in the community to have additional conversations, because a lot of times you're not always aware of what jobs are out there. And so thinking about connecting to a mentor, taking the time to talk to an advisor within a specific area. You can always contact a department chair and ask them if there's someone that they would recommend that you speak with, specifically for thinking of psychology or sociology or history. Just talking with a professor and saying, hey, what are my options if I really want to major in sociology? Like, what can I do with that degree? And thinking about what you're majoring in too, I would also, do the practical side piece, which is do your research. So take a look at, the stats out there in terms of employability and the industry, and predictions in the future about what job availability will look like. That's going to be important in trying to be proactive and taking a look at, the wage, because of course that's important. If you're going to have a family, or if you already have a family, that wage is important in taking care of your needs as well as your family's needs.
That's really good advice. So you mentioned a lot of really great things. What are some other things that students can discuss with their advisor this very first semester to sort of help that decision-making process along?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I think as a student, thinking about what I'm personally interested in, right? And exploring that option with my advisor. And, sometimes you might find that you need to talk to another person who might be another advisor for a specific area. So really coming to the table with, well, here's what I really want to do and here's what I'm thinking about. It's also important to think about the courses and how they're structured, right? So you have hybrid courses, which is a combination of online and seated. You have fully seated courses. You also have the online courses. And some of the things I would ask myself as a student would be, the time that's dedicated. Am I working a full-time job while I'm also trying to go to school? Does it make a lot of sense that if I am working a full-time job, am I going to be able to handle the requirements, let's say for like nursing clinical hours, right? There are some things in terms of when you're working towards nursing that they're going to have to set certain hours aside for clinical, and that's going to take up a large proportion of your time. So really important to ask those questions, like how much time am I really dedicating face-to-face? Thinking about online, I would argue that online is a completely different beast in the sense than seated classes, because a lot of the responsibility in terms of being proactive, keeping up with due dates, that really falls on the student. And of course there's communication in terms of getting in touch with your instructor, and I would always advocate that you reach out to your instructor. We love to talk to our students, so don't ever think that you're bothering an instructor. If you have a question, just continue to ask those questions, because we really truly want to help the students. But I think it's important to think about your schedule, think about potential conflicts, and then just communicating with your instructors as well. And I would just say, be very frank and honest with your advisor. Here are things that I can do and here are things that I can't do. Here's what I'm interested. I really don't like this. I'm not great on online, but I can handle hybrid courses. That makes a good sense. And then again, one thing to point out too with online and hybrid is you're going to need to have access to the internet. You're going to need to be able to upload assignments and be on, discussion forums. And so thinking about the time that you will need to give to do those assignments and whether you have good access to an internet, or do you have transportation that's going to allow you to get access to that internet? Because not all areas have a good connection, and that's going to be really important.
So those sound like really good points of conversation for any semester, not just first semester the student can be having with their advisor.
Absolutely. And just in thinking about additional resources on campus that students could utilize, I mean, everything from the Student Success Center to the LRC, thinking about talking to your instructors, they are great resources. Everyone on this campus is available and ready to help. But in addition, thinking about careers, the Career Center is definitely a wonderful place to go to start really investigating what your interests are.
Dr. Voigt mentioned the Career Center as a great resource for our students. We're here with Gwen Russell. She's the Director of Career Services here at Sand Hills. So Gwen, what resources does the Career Center have to help students choose their major?
We have so many different resources. I want to make sure that they find me. We have the resume writing, we have mock interviewing, and the most important one is career assessments. Assessments are so valuable. Students have no idea how helpful that will be in the very beginning. They need to come and see me. I'm in Blue Hall.
Sounds great. So you mentioned that you have resume writing, and some of those things would be great after a student graduates. Can you elaborate a little bit more on things that students can utilize you for while choosing their major?
While choosing their major, the assessment is important because it encourages you to ask yourself more questions about your destination.
Yes.
Where are you going? It answers those questions about who am I, where am I going, and how do I get there? And we can do that. Once you have the assessment, it's an assessment tool that you can take home and you can sit and think about it. It needs to be some thought into what do you actually want to do? And this avoids changing majors over and over. It is very helpful. It's in the 90th percentile of success.
And can a student change their major if they decide that their original major isn't quite what they want to do?
They can change their major. They fill out a change in major form. But I like to have that conversation with them in the beginning so that they know and answer those questions. What do I want to do? Do I like working full-time, part-time? Do I want to travel? Is money a major interest of mine? Those are questions they need to sort. And once they get past that stage, then they can ask and go and change their major and say, you know, I think I'm more concrete about what I actually want to do.
Thank you both for joining us, and their contact information is going to be right below.